here is the host of Jeopardy, Alex Trebek.
Almost 2 months after his death, this week Jeopardy fans will see Alex Trebek's last episodes, starting with a heartfelt message from Trebek no one expected, even his executive producer, Mike Richards.
He comes out and gives this I just got chills, gives this absolutely amazing speech about the tough times that we're in and the importance of us as a country, as a community, humanity coming together and being there for each other.
The taping happening just 11 days after intestinal surgery. Trebek battled pancreatic cancer for almost 2 years.
The prognosis for this is not very encouraging, but I'm going to fight this.
The treatments sometimes weaken Trebek's voice.
There are many reasons to be thankful,
but not his resolve.
Keep the faith.
That courage and determination only burnishing the admiration of fans and contestants.
I learned English because of you.
What it is, we love you, Alex. That's very kind. Thank you.
A connection developed over 3 decades of hosting the quiz show, where contestants tried to guess the questions after Trebek supplied the answers.
What is a metal kettle?
And the occasional barb.
We were talking about hockey, not the NBA.
Welcome to Celebrity Jeopardy,
which made him ripe for parody on Saturday Night Live. Through 36 years of hairstyles and suits, Trebek's professional demeanor endured.
And thank you for watching.
So much so that when he walked out of the studio after taping these episodes, no one knew they would be his last. Trebek died 10 days later. This week, one more time, America welcomes Alex Trebek into their homes.
Now, we're told that Friday's episode will be a regular show, but at the end, there will be a tribute to Alex Trebek. And then Jeopardy looks forward with a series of guest hosts, starting with former champ Ken Jennings. Savannah and Hoda.
All right, Ann, thank you. And Mike Richards, who's the executive producer of Jeopardy, is with us now. Hi, Mike. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Well, this must be just kind of a bittersweet week for everybody because here Alex is gone, but we're going to see his final work, his final days. What was he like in those final days?
He was an absolute warrior, and what he was able to do by getting himself back to the set to tape those final episodes. And again, you guys referenced it in the piece. We didn't know it was going to be his final episodes, and neither did he. But it was Herculean. He was in enormous pain. He was, 10 days away from passing away. And you will not sense any of that in these episodes. He is strong. He sounds great. He's funny. And he's amazing.
What do you think it meant to him to do those? Why do you think he wanted to show up in those final days when he could have easily said, you know what, I think I've had enough?
I think it would have been, I think a normal person would have said, I'm not going to show up a year and a half before those final episodes. I mean, he was getting chemotherapy once a week. And so I think there was a level of professionalism. I think he really understood the importance of the show and what it meant to people, and to make what I have always said, he made being smart cool. Mm-hmm. So, I think that was all of those things for him. And I think it comes back to, he wrote an autobiography that described his childhood and that kind of hardworking, blue collar, I'm going to go in and go to work. And that's what he did.
Well, you were worried about him in that last week. You actually said to him, look, I don't think you should come in this week. You're not well. But he again said, I'm going to be here. And he also said something on the show, on one of his final shows that surprised you. It was off script. What did he talk about?
Well, yeah, the week before we taped those episodes, he was in the hospital, and this man was unbelievable. He calls me and he said, Mike, I'm going to be fine. I'll be into tape. I was able to eat Jell-O today. And I went, Alex, that's great, but that doesn't mean you're going to be ready to host 5 episodes of a game show, which is an enormous amount of effort. And he said, do not cancel. I will be there. And what he did on tonight's show is just a great testament to him. He comes out. He usually said something about what was happening in the news or about what gameplay had been happening. And in this very special, unbelievable final week, he comes out and gives a talk about the importance of togetherness and sticking together, and that the world is struggling, but we have to get through it together. And we had chills. And you don't. There are specific moments in Jeopardy when you clap, and then there are moments when you're quiet. And usually in his monologue, he would come out, give a statement, and then go to the categories. Well, there's not very many people in the studio because of COVID, and we all burst into applause. And you don't see it on camera, but as he's going to the categories, he sees us start to applaud, and he kind of looks at us, what are you guys doing?
We all do it.
And we were so moved that we had to applaud.
Yeah. Did he ever, just before we go, did he ever mention who he thought his successor should be?
He had mentioned a couple of names, but he wanted to stay out of that, and he knew that we would do a good job looking for people, and that we would find someone, that no one's going to replace him, and he knew that. As humble as he was, he knew that there was no chance of that, and that it's someone smart and credible, and that loves the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's what he wanted.
Absolutely, that joy is something so unique to him.
Yeah.
Mike, thank you so much for spending this time with us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, you guys.